All right, so today we're going to be talking about how to properly read labels. And you might say, well, what the heck? It's pretty straightforward. You're going to be surprised as we go through this talk, this presentation, and you'll find out why it is not as straightforward as you would think. So I think the average American thinks that everything on our shelves is pretty much been approved by the FDA to be safe for us, right? Well, there's about 10,000 food additives that are put into our food supply. And of those additives, maybe half of them have even gone before the FDA to be reviewed and or approved. They get into the food supply. It's mainly been approved by the food manufacturing companies, which of course, that would be a little bit of a conflict of interest, right? So we in America consume an average between 5 and 9 pounds of additives a year. Truth be told, if food products were honestly labeled, this is really what we would see. We would see chemical helper, heart disease spread, for sure diabetes drink, and then ADHD flakes. So you get the picture here, all right? That's really what's going on. And again, you might think, well, why the heck do I need a lesson here? Well, what I've come to find is my clientele, who I think are pretty savvy and pretty sophisticated, I'm a little surprised at how and what they miss when they look at the food labels that they're consuming. Okay. And I'm going to show a demonstration real soon here about why we need to know. And, most people stop at the nutrition label, right? We don't really go to the ingredient label. Both are important. On the nutrition label, we basically have our macros, right? We have the total calories, or we have the serving size, we have the total calories, we have total fat, protein, total carbs, dietary carbs, sugars, and then some of the micronutrients down here. That's what we're going to be seeing on the nutrient label. And it's valuable. Okay, I think we do need to know how many calories are we consuming, how much protein is in the product, how much sugar, and all of that. So it is valuable, but you're going to find out that a calorie is not a calorie, a protein's not a protein, a fat is not a fat, a sugar is not a sugar. All right. So it does matter the actual ingredients in that product. Okay. So for demonstration purposes, what I have up here is a table of maple syrup. We have syrup A and we have syrup B. And one of these syrups is real syrup from the maple tree. And then the other syrup is made up and manufactured completely. It's something like Aunt Jemima. All right. So if we were to look at just this nutrient label, we can't really tell which is real, which is fake, right? So syrup A, syrup B. Serving size is 4 tablespoons. That's equivalent to a quarter cup. That's a lot of syrup. So this person is eating a lot of pancakes or French toast, I don't know which, but if they're using a quarter of a cup, that's kind of a lot. The total calories is the same in both. There is no fat and no protein in syrup. The total carbs should be the same because the calories are the same. I just took it off the labels, all right? I'm just the messenger here. And then the sugars, one is 54 and one is 52. Again, they should be equal because the calories are equal. So I don't know what gives here. So you really can't tell, right? Which is real and which is not. So I'm going to unveil it here. So the one on the left is Aunt Jemima. The one on the right is real maple syrup. They have the same nutrients in them. Okay. Very different ingredients. The one on the right is maple syrup again from the maple tree. The one on the left, we have corn syrup. We have high fructose corn syrup. We have water. We have cellulose gum. We have caramel color, salt, natural and artificial flavors, sodium benzoate and sorbic acids. They are both preservatives, and sodium hexametaphosphate. Yum. All right. I know which one I want to be going into my body. Before I go any further, I do want to say this. As we go through this lesson here, and I guess that's what I'm going to call it. I'm kind of the teacher, and I do like to teach. I want to make sure that you know that I'm not trying to depress anybody, overwhelm anybody. All I'm trying to do is bring awareness of really what is in our food supply so that you can learn to read these labels, know what's in your food, and then minimize just the best that you can to keep some of these ingredients out, some of these additives out. Okay. So here's basically what's in your food. These are the top additives that you want to avoid. So we have artificial sugars, we have preservatives, we have food dyes, we have conditioners, thickeners, and stabilizers. And again, please don't get overwhelmed. So as far as top artificial sugars to avoid, we have aspartame, and that's basically in our diet drinks. We have also acesulfame K, which you'll find in things like Pedialyte and muscle milk. High fructose corn syrup is not really an artificial sugar, but it's not a good sugar either. So I put it up there. We don't see as much high fructose corn syrup as we did about 10 years ago. And then we have sucralose, aka Splenda, and you'll find that in muscle milk as well. So here's a key, folks, that should really clue you in as to whether or not you need to look at the ingredient list very carefully, which you should anyway. If a product has low sugar or no sugar in it, but it tastes good, probably it has one of these in it. So look at your ingredient list. Your less expensive products will have these in it. So what is okay if it doesn't have much sugar in it, a higher, caliber of a product, you're probably going to see things like stevia and monk fruit and or allulose and or erythritol. That's what you're going to see. And I think all those are fine. Some people have digestive issues with allulose and sometimes with erythritol as well. Okay, so that's the skinny or artificial sugars, what you want to avoid. All right, now we get to preservatives. There's a lot of preservatives. We like to keep our foods in the freezer a long time, or the food manufacturing companies do, or in a refrigerator for a long time, and definitely on the shelf for a long time. That's what this is about, right? So sodium benzoate, where do you find that? You find that in soft drinks and flavored drinks, energy drinks, salad dressing, condiments, and pickled foods. Potassium sorbate, where are you going to find these? Kind of across the board, BHA, BHT, more in your cereals, your chips, your breads, your things like that. TBHQ in the microwave, popcorn, frozen and fried foods. And then we have another page of preservatives, and that's the nitrates and nitrites. You're going to find that in a lot of your smoked and cured foods. Bacon, sausage, deli meats, things like that. And then we have calcium propionate. And again, you're going to find that more in your tortillas, your commercial breads. And then phosphates. Again, back to more of your meats, your sliced cheese, your frozen meals, and things like that. All right, so that's a long list, right? Then we have the food dyes, and basically all of your food colorings and dyes are found in candies and baked goods. The majority of them are. And then you have caramel colorings, which are found in your cola drinks and your gravies and your sauces. And I'm going to talk a little bit about food colorings and dyes in just a second. Um, natural types of food colorings and dyes, annatto will turn things yellow and orange, and then beet juice will put things more on the red side as well. So there are natural food colorings that you can use rather than the artificial ones. And then conditioners are huge, especially with breads. So we have the azodicarbonamide, ADA, found in the commercial breads and bagels, date M, and then mono and diglycerides. And again, these are all conditioners. So and calcium peroxide. So what exactly do conditioners do? So that soft squishiness that just feels so good in our mouth, to our palates, and smells good. Those are made that way because of the conditioners that we add to our dough. All right. So that's what's happening. It's something that's, we kind of get used to and we actually like. And then last, we have our thickeners and stabilizers. And these are used for two different reasons. So the stabilizers would be used so that things so they don't separate. We're going to see like carrageenan. You're going to see that, I think, guar gum as well, and things like almond milk and maybe deli meats and yogurt. We're going to see that in coconut milk. Xanthan gum, we can see that in gluten-free foods. And that just kind of thickens things up. So if we are taking a food that, let's say ice cream, for example, that usually has a fair amount of fat in it, and we take that out, and we still want it to look and feel good on someone's palate, we're going to add in some thickeners, definitely, maybe even some stabilizers. So your locust bean, your cellulose gum are all going to be added as thickeners. So your gums are going to be thickeners. So that's what we're doing here. We're trading our natural fat, the way food comes naturally, and we have to put something else in it to make it palatable. And what's wrong with all of this? Well, again, it affects us on so many different levels. Our liver has to do a lot in order to process all these chemicals out. Our digestive system has to do a lot as well. And a lot of these things affect our digestive system, and some people are going to be more sensitive than others. I'm just going to give you a demonstration of kind of bringing this home. Okay, this is a box of Duncan Hines cake. When I first did this presentation, it was probably more than 10 years ago, and I'm using a lot of the same slides just for demonstration purposes. This ingredient list might actually be a little bit different, but it's probably pretty close. So, there's not too many young people that even know what's in a cake or how to make a cake from scratch. I would say maybe 40 years and younger, majority of them do not know. It's very simple. There's not that many ingredients. It would be flour, sugar, some type of fat, an oil or butter. It would be a leavening agent, and then some eggs in it. That's really about it. It's really easy, not very many ingredients. When you buy a box of Duncan Hines, what it has in there, first ingredient is sugar. And we know that the way that the ingredients are listed on the ingredient list, the most amount is listed first, the least amount is listed at, towards the bottom. So sugar is number one. And I would say if we're making a homemade cake, it probably would be number one ingredient as well. And you're going to know in a couple more slides why when it says sugar and not cane sugar is a problem. All right. And then it has bleached flour, and in the parentheses, what goes into all that bleached flour. Then we have vegetable oil, shortening, partially hydrogenated soybean oil. So partially hydrogenated or hydrogenated is a trans fat. And it was made by law, I think maybe as long as 15 years ago, that a food had to list if it had trans fat in it. So this food does have trans fat in it. I don't have the nutrient label in front of me here for you to see whether or not they listed a trans fat on there. I'm going to guess that they did not. And the reason being is that if it's below a certain threshold, they do not have to put that on the nutrient label. So again, reading the ingredient list will help you know what's actually in that food. And then we have all sorts of other things. We have sodium bicarbonate, which is the leavener. We have wheat starch, pineapple juice powder, pineapple juice solids, natural and artificial flavors, yum, cellulose gum, xanthan gum. So again, it makes that nice swishiness, holds it all together. Citric acid is also a preservative. I don't think I had that on the other slides. And then it's colored with yellow 5-leg and red 40-leg to give it that color. So it's not as innocent as we would think. Now, I am going to talk about GMO crops and glyphosate. And even though this doesn't really fall into the realm of additives, it does fall into the realm of our food supply and what we are ingesting. And it's really important because it is ubiquitous in the US, and I want you to be aware of the role it plays on our health and the foods that are affected. Okay? So, how glyphosate hurts us is basically in 4 different ways. It hurts our environment, it hurts our soil in many other ways, but I'm just talking about us. So, it is a known carcinogen. Glyphosate, aka Roundup, causes cancer. We know that. There's been lawsuits. It binds with our minerals, and that is important, okay? So it doesn't only bind with the minerals that come from our foods, right, as it goes through the digestive system, but it also binds with the minerals that are in our soil. So the foods that we're eating have less nutrient value than it did many years before the use of glyphosate. It acts as an antibiotic. Why is that important? In fact, it was patented as an antibiotic initially before it became a pesticide. So, when we eat food and it's acting as an antibiotic, it is going to change our microbiome. And do you know how many people, and children in particular, have digestive issues? It's really quite astounding and it's heartbreaking too, in a lot of ways. It also disrupts our ability to make some super important amino acids that affect our mood and our thyroid. So it affects the production of an amino acid called tyrosine. And tyrosine is a precursor to dopamine. And dopamine makes us feel good. It helps us to concentrate. It's right up there, right? For moods. And then tyrosine is also required. It's the backbone of thyroid hormone. So, thyroid hormone is T4 or T3. That T is the tyrosine. So, you know how many people have thyroid issues, women in particular? A lot, all right? This is probably contributing to it to some degree. Many of you may already know that glyphosate is sprayed on GMO crops, and GMO crops would be corn, soy, canola, sugar beets, cottonseed, and alfalfa. And a GMO crop is not a hybridized crop. So I want to make that distinction. A hybridized crop would be like a plum-quat, like a plum and a kumquat that's been bred together, okay, to make a different type of fruit. This is where they actually splice their DNA, okay, in these crops with something that makes them tolerant to being sprayed with glyphosate. And that way they can take an airplane and just spray the whole field, the whole crop with glyphosate to kill the weeds, to kill the pests, and the crop will not die. So it's very efficient type of farming, right? And again, it affects our soil. So how do you stay away from these? You would have to buy organic corn. Sweet corn, I don't think is a GMO crop. Soy would need to be organic. Canola oil would need to be organic. And rapeseed oil, by the way, is the same thing as canola oil, so it would need to be organic. It's not a good oil anyway. Sugar beets. Remember I said that word sugar that we saw in the Duncan Hines cake mix? If in your ingredients it says sugar and not cane sugar, it is from the sugar beet plant. You might have thought that you don't eat any sugar beets, so that's not an issue. But all the sugar in the less good products are going to be sweetened with sugar beets. And then cottonseed. Why should you care about cottonseed? Well, we wear clothes that have cotton in them, right? And our skin absorbs things. And alfalfa, that's more for animals, but then we eat the animals. All right. So that's why this all is kind of a trickle down effect. Now, not only is glyphosate sprayed on these crops that I've listed here, they're also used as a desiccant, or they are used to dry out a crop before it is harvested. So it makes it much easier and more efficient to harvest. So there's about 5 or 6 crops where this is currently occurring, and one would be on garbanzo beans. So I have the picture of the hummus here, right? So again, it's really important to choose organic in all of these. Your oats, unless it says organic, it is going to be more than likely sprayed with glyphosate right before harvesting. A lot of your beans are also, your lentils are sprayed with glyphosate. And then wheat is sprayed. So your breads, your pastas, all of these things here, please try to choose organic as much as you possibly can. Our flour, wheat flour, you need to make sure it's organic as much as possible as well. Sometimes we can get some help through an organization called the EWG, the Environmental Working Group, and they have lists on their website that point out, this is kind of an old list, but I don't think they've changed it much, where they call it the dirty 12 and the clean 15. All right. So the one on the left, the dirty 12, are the crops that you really, really want to make sure that it's organic. And then the one on the right, it's like you can kind of fudge a little bit. All right. You don't have to be quite as careful. Now, the interesting thing about the EWG organization, and I just found that out this week by mistake, is you can go on there. This I did know. You can go on there and you can scan a barcode or scan a food and or type it in, and they will rate the food. They'll rate makeup as well. They'll rate cleaning products as well. So it's kind of fun. It's useful. But I learned that when they're rating a food, they are not taking into account whether that food is a GMO crop or not, or has GMO ingredients. So that's a little bit of a problem as far as I'm concerned. So you have to use your own knowledge that you're getting from here, right? And then you can shortcut a little bit by using their app and having them help you. You're not going to know everything at once. There's no way. There's a lot of information here. Probably surprising to you. Okay, so there are myths about eating healthy, but I'm going to cut to the chase here and just say bottom line. Bottom line is you get to choose how you move through life. And when you're young, it's like you've got the world by its tail, but as you start moving into your 40s and your 50s and older, this picture here really starts to hit home. So you have the pharmacy, right, over on this side, on the left-hand side, and these people look pretty bad. And that is where you're going to end up if you're eating the SAD diet or the standard American diet, right? You're not being careful. And then we have the health food store, and these people look happy, they're moving, all of that. It makes a difference. So let's go back to some of the myths about eating healthy. It's too expensive. It will cost more to eat healthy than unhealthy to a certain degree, okay? I'm going to push back a little bit. And the pushback is often when we eat better, when our bodies are getting the nutrients it needs, the protein it needs, the fat it needs, the micronutrients it needs, sometimes we don't crave and eat as much. All right. It's kind of like our body is being told, okay, you're getting what you need. You don't have to keep on eating. So there's kind of a catch-22 with that. So you can be careful, right? You can pick where you're going to shop for your food. I mean, I do Trader Joe's, I do Sprouts, I do Costco. I even do the big grocery stores on just a few items. I do. So we all get to pick and choose what we're comfortable with. I also use Thrive Market, which is an online store. And then I also use Wild Fork for some of my meats and my wild caught fish. So, when I think about it, I kind of do kind of parse it out. You kind of have to educate yourself to do that. It's boring. No, it's not. Eating healthy can be really a lot of fun, very flavorful, very, very satisfying. There's plenty of cookbooks out there. I've got a lot of recipes on my site that you can access and enjoy really good, tasty food. It takes too much time to make good food. Okay, it does take some time, but let me tell you, all right, you don't have to make everything from scratch. I cheat, if that's what you want to call it, and that is what I call it. Actually, if I was to be honest, I cheat all the time. All right. I work and I'm busy, and I might buy something from Trader Joe's as the main event, and then I'll build around it with fresh organic vegetables and things like that. Or the opposite, often something is already prepared that I am serving for dinner. That is true. But I am also pretty careful about what I'm choosing, or at least I know, okay? You need to know in order to make that decision. So there are some things that I will let some of the preservatives come in, or let the less, really good ingredients come in. But I try to mitigate that the best that I can. That's all you can do, is the best that you can. I don't know how to cook. I'm going to be a little bit motherish here and say that you need to learn how to cook, all right? Because I don't care how careful you are, how much money you spend. Most of the time, even with the food services, like food prep services, you are not going to get good organic food. There are some out there, all right? And I'm going to say be willing to pay for that. And it's well worth every dime and every penny. And something like Sunbasket, I think they're still around, something like them because they offer paleo organic foods. It's a great way to be introduced to how to cook food, healthy food and without you investing in a whole bunch of new ingredients, it's just packaged for you. And so you have a better understanding of how to put things together. That's a great entry point. I don't know where to get the ingredients. I already went through all that. I don't have a store close that has good ingredients. Guess what? Since COVID, that's not really a good excuse anymore, and I'll feel deprived. I already went through that. So it's up to you. You get to decide which way you want to go. And again, I want to circle back to the object of this video is not to make you give up. It's not to make you feel hopeless or over the top anxious. I don't want that at all. But I'm just trying to give you some knowledge so that you can become aware and then you can pick and choose which is the better of the cheeses, right? Sometimes shredded cheeses have some additives to it where a block of cheese does not. So this is a choice that you get to make. Do you want the convenience? Or are you going to be careful somewhere else? Okay. So this is up to you. It's awareness, and then you get to pick. I want you to be able to make an educated choice. I want you to have the agency to make that choice. And also to maybe put some pressure on the government to relook at the additives that we really do put into our foods. So hopefully you do see the value in reading labels. And again, this video was not meant to scare you by any stretch of the imagination. If you did enjoy it, please hit the like button and be sure to subscribe. I do plan on putting more videos up here. And yes, they are more educational than they are entertainment. But if you like that and you find value in that, I will keep on putting content up there. So thank you very much.